Okay, yes, you read the title correctly. Teenage Gojo and Geto can be end of series Yuji and Yuta. Now, before you get your panties in a knot, just give me a sec and let me explain it to you. Welcome back to my channel. This is like one of my first longer form content videos. I appreciate you stopping in. Hope you like the video. Stick through to the end. That'll help me out on the algorithm and stuff. But yeah, let me get back to it. So there's been this like conversation going around in the JJK world where they have Teen Gojo and Geto versus end of series Yuji and Yuta, and people are trying to debate who would win in a versus match. And I think most people get it right. Like I saw a lot of people saying Yuji and Yuta they will win, blah 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 blah, which I have no problem with. I understand. My problem is where people start to get a little disrespectful, and I see people being like they get stomped or they get swept or zero to low diff for them Yuji and Yuta to win, and I'm like, what? Did you guys watch the same series that I did? Because I don't think it's like that. Like, I don't. I ain't trying to say that they would definitely win Gojo and Geto, that is, but I'm not saying that they would get stomped by anybody in the verse. Did y'all not watch season one? Because Gojo already told you what it is if you think it's gonna be easy with him.
So then, just who are you calling easy?
But yeah, let me get back to it. All right, let's get into it. How can Gojo and Geto beat Yuji and Yuta? Here we go. So before we get into the actual fight, let's break down the characters and their abilities and what points in time I'm using so you can understand where I'm coming from when I give you my points. For Teenage Gojo and Geto, I'm going to be using the versions of them right before they fought Toji. You can basically think of the ones in season 2, episode 1 of JJK where they fought that haunted house curse spirit. And I'll start off with Geto. His curse technique is curse spirit manipulation. It gives him the ability to be able to exercise, consume, and control curse spirits. And he describes the taste of cursed spirits that he consumes to be like as if someone were to take a rag and mop up vomit and waste. And I don't know about you, but I kind of understand why Ghetto went to the dark side, man. If I'm eating that, you think I'm gonna be happy when somebody clap and cheer on one of my friends dying? Like that's crazy. If I was Ghetto, I probably only had one curse spirit. The next aspect of his curse technique is if the grade difference between him and a curse spirit is 2 or more, he can take control with no conditions. So basically, like what he tried to do with Toji, since it was a weaker curse, try to take it over. Didn't work though, because that's another aspect of his technique. He cannot capture a curse that has a master servant relationship already. He must first kill the master before taking over the curse. Later in JJK 0, we see that Geto has a maximum technique, Uzumaki. It is where he takes the cursed spirits that he consumes and condenses them into cursed energy into a single blast, but the cursed spirits that he uses for Uzumaki get destroyed and he cannot use them no more. I don't want to use that power, so I'm not saying Geto knew this at that point in time. I'm just putting it out there. Possibly, if Gojo knows about purple and domain expansions, Geto should at least have been trying to figure out his maximum technique. So, just putting it on the table. Subaru's partner in this matchup, Satoru Gojo, the man that changed the power balance of the whole Jujutsu world by simply being born. His curse technique is the Limitless. Now, I know we all broken it down and everybody knows characteristics, so I'll just kind of run over it really quickly. The Limitless is an inherited technique passed down in the Gojo clan, and this technique gives Gojo the ability to be able to have spatial manipulation on an atomic level. On its own, the Limitless is mostly unusable though, because you have to pair it with the Six Eyes to be able to use it to its fullest capabilities. As we know, the Six Eyes give the user high level brain processing power that allows them to be able to think fast, and the ability to be able to manipulate complex curse techniques like the Limitless at rapid speeds. They also give the user the most efficient energy use in the verse, allowing for near zero energy loss of curse energy while battling, giving high level, fast paced techniques like the Limitless an unlimited source of energy to supply it. And finally, a Six Eyes bearer has immense perception and unrivaled visual prowess, and far beyond that of any sorcerer. Their eyesight is comparable to high definition infrared camera, allowing them to be able to see things even when their eyes are covered. They can easily see from several kilometers away and distinctly tell apart the different figures within that range. Visual prowess is so strong, in fact, that the user can also see the flow of cursed energy. giving them the ability to be able to read an individual's curse technique in use and be able to determine its function by merely seeing it. Now let's break down the Limitless. As I said, it gives Gojo the ability to have spatial manipulation on an atomic level. But the way you can think of that is if you had the infinite number series or Achilles and the tortoise paradox. To make things simple, the Limitless has three applications. The neutral application, which gives the user the ability to be able to stop things. So basically, think of it as an invisible shield, and anything that approaches Gojo comes to a near stop. It's not actually stopped, but what's happening is the distance between you and Gojo is divided infinitely until it appears to have stopped, and it will never actually reach him. The second application of the Limitless Curse technique is the Amplified, where Gojo pours cursed energy into his curse technique, creating curse technique lapse blue, creating negative space, almost like a black hole, where anything within that space gets pulled in violently. And the third aspect, which I know he can't use at this point, but I'm just giving you the power breakdown, is when Gojo pours positive curse energy into the Limitless technique, creating curse technique reversal, red, which is the repulsive aspect of the Limitless curse technique. Anything touches this void is pushed back, and it has 2 times the output of blue. At this point, neither character had a domain expansion, but it is confirmed that Gojo at least knew anti-domain techniques from childhood, and Geto has curses with simple domains and quite possibly domain expansions. So I don't want to rule it out, but let's just say that they have defenses against domain for this conversation. Now let's get into the boy blessed by the black sparks, Yuji Itadori. In his base at the beginning of the series, Yuji had insane physical ability, being able to impress characters like Megami and even Gojo with his insane physical strength. Yuji has superhuman strength, ridiculous speed, insane durability, and natural combat instincts. When first learning Jujutsu, Yuji has sloppy cursed energy control. So when attacking someone, his cursed energy will be delayed behind the physical hit, creating 2 impacts. But now he uses that to his fullest capabilities, creating the divergent fist technique, where he intentionally delays the impact of the cursed energy. So now the 2 hits can disorient any opponent that he is battling. And as I said earlier, Yuji is the boy blessed by the black sparks, which means he can use the black flash technique, which is where you apply curse energy at 0.0000010 seconds of impact. Yuji cannot use this at will, but it gave Mahito that impression when they were battling once he gets locked into the zone. Yuji broke the black flash record 2 times in the series, making him the undisputed king of this technique. Yuji also has use of reverse curse technique, which gives him the ability to be able to heal himself by pouring positive curse energy through his body. And his reverse curse technique might be even stronger than most normal characters because Yuji also has the curse technique of blood manipulation, which he gained from eating his death wound painting brothers. Not as good as his brother Choso with it yet, but Yuji is able to use blood reinforcement to harden the blood in his body to create a defense against attacks, and slightly use piercing blood with the help of his brother, as well as explosive blood, which he used against Sukuna in the final battle. Yuji can also use cleave and dismantle from Sukuna's shrine technique. Of course, not as potent as Sukuna's, but powerful nonetheless, and it's his own interpretation using scissors rather than knives. And with being born to be the vessel of Sukuna, this gives Yuji soul awareness, which is a very powerful technique because it also kind of bypasses certain durability if you can attack the soul directly. So even if you can heal, if you damage the soul stays damaged. Yuji is also able to employ a simple domain, which he learned from swap training with Kusakabe right before the battle with Sukuna. And his trump card, Yuji also has a domain expansion, where he could potentially imbue either his shrine technique or blood manipulation as the sure hit to be able to deal massive damage to the opponent. And his partner being the man potentially even more blessed than Satoru Gojo, Yuta Akotsu. Yuta possesses a near bottomless cursed energy reserve, being able to have 2 times the amount of Satoru Gojo. But if they were to fight, Yuta would still run out of cursed energy before Goto because of the 6 Eyes' insane energy efficiency. Yuta possesses the copy technique. This, along with the vengeful spirit Rika Orimoto, is a very powerful combination for Yuta. By having Rika consume a part of the target, he can copy their technique and be able to use it. But his efficiency and usage of the technique depends on what part of the body Rika eats. So if she eats a small portion like a pinky, she doesn't get much of the technique. But if she eats a whole arm, you get much more of the technique and a better understanding of whatever technique he consumes. Rika is also autonomous from Yuta, being able to battle without him and alongside him to be able to create devastating combinations. And Yuta also has reverse curse technique and the ability to be able to output it onto other people, which is very hard in the series, and very few characters know how to do it. The curse techniques Yuta has copied at this point is curse speech, sky manipulation, thin icebreaker, Daru's technique, Sukuna Shrine, and Angel's Jacob Ladder. At this point, Yuta can also use Simple Domain and the trump card, Domain Expansion. His is called Authentic Mutual Love. It's a barrier filled with katanas holding copied curse techniques. Yuta can grab any katana and use the technique imbued into that katana, having a sure hit effect be that curse technique. Okay, now that we got all the abilities broken down for all the characters, let's get into this fight and how they can win. So, I think most people assume the matchups would be they walk up, Gojo and Geto, Yuji Yuta, and the matchup would be Yuta versus Geto and Yuji versus Gojo. So okay, let's take that stance. And I know people think like Yuta's gonna stomp because he did in the movie an older, stronger version of Geto, which he did. I'm gonna give them that. And this is a older, stronger, much more better Yuta. So they're like, oh okay, this should be an easy stomp. But I do have to say, like, let's first think about this. Like, yes, Yuta beat Geto, but that was a Geto with not his full arsenal of curses because he deployed most of them to fight Jujutsu Society to distract them so he could fight Yuta one on one. And I don't know exactly how many he had left, but let's just assume it was like 1,000 or 2,000, which, I'm assuming most of them was his lower level ones because Yuta kind of just stomped a lot of the curses he's let out at him, and then that one special grade we didn't get to see what it could do. So I'm gonna assume he didn't have that one at the time, but let's just say like that was probably one of his higher tier ones that he had on him. People love to think that like Yuta's gonna do curse speech and just tell all the curse spirits to die, which he could, but I'm gonna assume low end at this point, Geto had to have at least because if his grown self had 4,000 and in the movie at the end he had like 1 to 2,000, teenage him can at least, and if he wasn't doing like crazy research, let's just say 2,000 to 3,000 curses. He releases his curses, and obviously he's going to be a little kind of calculated. And Ghetto kind of tends to overestimate his ability sometimes, so that's why he lost to Toji. So he may come in thinking, okay, I can just kind of stomp this kid, and if he does that, he loses off the grip, and then it's Yuta Yuji 2v1 and Gojo because Gojo is basically just going to stall Yuji out, and Yuji is just going to keep healing until Yuta is free to help him. And if you think that that happens, okay, cool. But let's just be realistic here. So people are like, oh, Rika's just going to shred through all the ghetto curses and da 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 da. Can I remind you that Yuta, when he was fighting the cockroach curse spirit, the cockroach deployed cockroaches with enhanced curse energy, and those are able to distract Rika. So cockroaches with just enhanced curse energy can distract Rika. I feel like some of these curses Ghetto guy can distract her as well because he has the dragon that she has to deal with. He has that big ogre with the one eye she has to deal with. He has the gigantic red one that I don't know if Gojo. He had that one when Gojo was fired the red at it in the movie. He has that one, and so like at the very least, Rika's gonna be distracted. He'll have those five strong curses that I was talking about fighting Rika, and then he just has to hold off Yuta because I think this is where a lot of people forget where the battle strategy would come in for like fights like JJK. So if he can hold off Yuta, and because Rika can only be fully manifested for 5 minutes, so he just needs to hold Yuta off, which he's only deploying 10 to 15 curses to distract Rika. I'm not saying they're gonna beat Rika, but just distract her. And then while he's doing that, he's fighting Yuta. And obviously, in like if he had no curses and it's just him and Yuta straight hands and Yuta's using all his curse techniques, Yuta stomping. But I'm assuming this is like I said, he only deployed 5 to 10 to 15 curses to distract Rika, and everything else he's using to fight Yuta. So yes, Yuta's gonna shred through those curses, but it's still thousands of curses, and it's gonna take a minute. Like it's just gonna take time. I'm not saying that he's not gonna do it. It's just gonna take time, and that's where this battle like comes down to it. Like time is on Gojo and Geto's side. So if they're able to time out and make Yuta stall to where Gojo gets done with Yuji, because that's where I think the real battle is going to happen to decide the winning factor. Because now let's switch over to those two fighting. So with those two fighting, a lot of people like to say, "Oh well, Yuta and Yuji can get through Gojo's Infinity with domain amplification." I didn't see any instance of them using that in the show, so I'm not giving them that in this battle. We can't just give people things to be like, they should be able to do it since they've seen it. And it's like, yeah, but they didn't train for it because Yuji seen Simple Domain, but he still had to train to get it. So we're not just giving him a domain amplification just because he saw it. So only ways he has to bypass Infinity right now is through domain expansion, which, Valak can actually get through. So Yuji is fighting Gojo, knowing all his weaknesses and strengths, because obviously this is a Yuji that was trained by Gojo, so he knows how to fight him. And I just don't think Yuji has the hands to beat Gojo just like straight off hands and domain amplification, because like I said, he ain't gonna be able to use it. He won't get through. So basically, he's just gonna be firing attacks and nothing's gonna be able to get through, and trying to avoid Gojo hitting him with a blue or hitting him with blue enhanced punches, which we all know are some of the strongest punches in the verse. So Yuji's gonna be taking some damage, man. To me, like Yuji's gonna be taking some damage, and he's just gonna be like, I won't be able to last in this fight unless I go ahead and open my domain, which can be a decided factor. But I think a lot of people just overestimate domains and being like, oh, once Yuji or Yuta opens their domain, Gojo's dead. When Mahito fought Mekamaru, Mahito opened his domain, Mekamaru was in it, but he didn't die, even though Mahito's short hit effect is definitely able to kill Mekamaru. So it's like, just because you open your domain doesn't mean you win con. Like if you have ways to defend against the domain, you still have an ability to win. And so B, Gojo has like domain defense techniques. So he has simple domain and he has another technique that can help him be able to stave off Yuji's domain and hopefully be able to survive it. And I'm not saying he won't take damage from it. He definitely will. He will take some damage from that. But I just think Gojo will withstand Yuji's domain one time, because a lot of people just be like, oh, Yuji will just spam his domain to get Gojo more damage. And it's like, I think we all forget that Yuji doesn't have the curse reserves of Sukuna or Gojo. So how will he be able to spam domain expansion when we all know domains are like a final trump card where if you use it, you got to use this as like a last resort. Not really a last resort, but it's kind of like once you do this, you're not going to be able to spam domain expansion. So I think he has one, maybe can push himself to two domain expansions. And of course, yeah, if he hits black flashes and stuff, that can help. But I'm saying two max. And two, I think he could get Gojo. If he's able to span his domain two times, he got him. But if not, that first one and his curse technique is burnt out after that, once curse technique is burned out and he has to kind of just fight Gojo without a curse technique for a little bit, I think Gojo stomps. I'm sorry. Like he's going to be able to take Yuji down at that point. So Yuji's going to be down and Gojo and is then hurt. He's damaged. And now they have to transition to helping 2v1 and Yuta and, well, 2v2 and Yuta and Rika at that point. So then when Gojo goes to go fight them, I'm thinking Geto's curses are like annihilated. He's on his last leg, just holding on for dear hope. Gojo comes, and I know a lot of people want to say this. They're like, hey, what is Gojo going to be able to do? Like Rika, he said he had to put his life on the line to fight her. Da. First, I think he was being a little hyperbolic in that. So I don't really think he would have to put his life on the line. Second, if Rika was able to be put down by one shot by this guy who everyone's like, oh, he's super strong and his hits, Yuta said, was very strong. If Rika could get knocked out from this one punch from this guy, I very much think Gojo hitting her with an amped blue punch could knock her out. Because let's not forget, folks, Gojo knocked out a special grade sorcerer with a single punch too. And if you're trying to say Rika can take that as well, it's like, well, how does she not take that guy's punch? Like, there's no way you're telling me he punches harder than Gojo just because he has higher output than Gojo. Like, come on. Let's be real here. So, Rika gone at that point. Now, they're 2v1 Yuta. Now, I do think the loss of Rika, he's going to be like a little on his back leg, but he still got that domain expansion in his back pocket, unless he already used it versus Geto. But I don't really think he needs to pull out his domain versus Geto. I think he's just going to be trying to whittle his way through his curses and get to him. But now, 2v1, Geto's curse is gone, Gojo's here, they're fighting him. Yuta can't get through the Infinity, so Gojo's blocking all his hits. He's only able to damage Geto, but Gojo is trying to defend his back and pulling him away with blue as he swings his sword at him, so it's not really able to hit like he's used to anymore. So he's on his back leg. Yuta expands that domain. This is where the battle comes down. If Gojo and Geto get trapped in this domain and Gojo isn't able to fully tank it, they lose. But to me, if they make it out somehow, some way, and Yuta goes on curse technique burnout, I think the fight's over at that point, guys. Like Yuta's done. That's one scenario in which they win. Second scenario, this one gonna be a little bit quicker. It'll be they're fighting both Geto and Gojo are on their back legs, and I think people forget like how fast Gojo grew just from fighting Toji. So now I'm gonna bring in Awakened Gojo, and not saying he fought Toji, but I'm just saying like you got to remember Gojo fought Toji, who's someone on his level, and that raised his level to where he can be the strongest in the verse now. And I think fighting the strongest in the current verse will give Gojo that challenge to be like, oh my gosh, I can get better. Like these guys that push my limits and make me get stronger. And boom, he awakens mid fight. He instantly knows red because we all know he knows about it. He just has to figure it out. He instantly knows reverse curse technique now. So he has reverse curse technique, healing his curse energy and healing his body, whatever damage he takes. And then he also has purple now, and they just won't be able to stop purple. So I think at that point, Gojo stomps. Barely freshly awakened Gojo. But pre-awakened Gojo makes it a bit of a fight. So yeah, that's my explanation of how Gojo and Geto can beat Yuji and Yuta. Like I said, I do think Yuta and Yuji more than likely will win, but there are ways that Geto and Gojo can win. That's all I wanted people to know with this video. I want to say, man, like I feel like people forget we watch anime for the underdog. So it's like, what do you mean you don't think the underdogs can win? Because it's like, even if you think Yuta and Yuji are stomping, it's like that's why we watch anime. We don't watch anime to see people get stomped. We watch anime because we're like, these characters should not win this fight, but somehow they find a way to win the fight through their grit, determination, or just pulling themselves to be better. So it's like, come on, man, don't forget that whenever we be doing these versus battles. Like, of course, if you disagree with me, I understand and I hear your points. So if you want to talk about it in the comments, let me know in the comment down below what you think. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, share, and I appreciate you guys for checking in with this video. Thank you so much. Bye.